You apologize for wanting things. Even small purchases can feel strangely heavy. The guilt arrives before the receipt. You stand in a store doing math, not because you cannot afford it, because your body still expects consequences. Sometimes the feeling is not confusion, it is money anxiety, mixed with shame. Like spending means becoming careless. You may save responsibly, earn steadily, and still tense up. The number changes. The feeling stays the same. By the end, this will feel clearer. Not because you are broken, because your reactions were learned early. Children absorb money moods before money facts. Before budgets, they read sighs, silences, slammed drawers, and worried faces. That is the hidden lesson. Money was never just numbers. It became danger, safety, love, power, and belonging. So when you hesitate, the pause is older than the object. It is memory wearing adult clothes. Maybe it shows up at night. You check your balance at night. Then promise yourself tomorrow you will be stricter. Maybe it appears there too. Someone suggests dessert or a trip. Your chest tightens before your mind answers. That reaction feels irrational and lonely, but your nervous system is not asking price. It scans for threat. A sale can activate it, so can worn shoes, a haircut, or ordering nicer things. The item is rarely the story. Underneath it sits an old question. Am I allowed to have this? For many people, money feelings formed where tension floated around bills. Nobody explained it. Everybody felt it. Maybe the kitchen got quiet on bill days. Maybe a parent joked about being broke, but never sounded joking. Maybe you learned that asking cost too much. New shoes meant stress. Field trips meant changing faces. Children read patterns quickly. If love stayed warm when you needed little, you noticed. If need created tension, you noticed. Children do something else. They make meaning from atmosphere. They assume the stress around money somehow includes them. So a parent's fear can quietly become your identity. Not just we struggled, more like I am expensive. That belief hides in adulthood. It can sound responsible on the surface. Underneath, it says, do not burden anyone. This is why some people over-explain every purchase. They are not just sharing details. They are building a defense. It is why a refund can feel relieving beyond reason. The money returns, yes, but innocence seems to return too. It is why some closets hold unworn things with tags. The purchase was desire. The avoiding was self-protection. Sometimes the pattern flips the other way. You spend quickly and feel relief, then judgment rushes in. Because money can become medicine for feelings too big to name. Brief comfort matters when comfort once felt scarce. A hard day, a lonely afternoon, a sharp comparison online. Suddenly buying something feels like choosing yourself once. Then the old lesson returns after the feeling fades. Wanting seems selfish again. Comfort still feels like something earned. Whether you cling or overspend, the root can be similar. Money stopped being neutral. It became emotional weather. Here's the deeper insight. Your habits may be thoughts, but your money reactions are often memories. That is why logic alone sometimes fails. You can know you are safe. Still, your body votes no. Think about the first money scene you remember, not the first amount, the first atmosphere, expression, argument, or silence. Maybe someone whispered at night behind a thin wall. Maybe you learned to listen for tone, not words. Maybe a paycheck meant temporary peace. Then groceries, gas, or rent slowly drained that peace from the room. Maybe a parent called rich people greedy. Maybe they called poor people lazy. Either way, money carried morality. That matters more than most realize. When money carries morality, earning, spending, saving, and receiving all become identity tests. No wonder buying something nice can feel loaded. The purchase is simple. The meaning attached to it is not. Some people learned money meant survival. Others learned it meant status, secrecy, control, sacrifice, or constant unpredictability. Generosity gets shaped there. If giving brought praise, you may overgive now. If receiving brought guilt, you may deflect. You may insist you need nothing. You may wave off help too quickly. Independence can become emotional camouflage. Because accepting can stir an old fear, If love once came with pressure, support may not feel safe. Praise came when you were careful and undemanding. Good with money meant good enough to keep close. Then adulthood becomes a stage where approval gets reenacted. You do not just manage money, you manage worth. This is why tiny decisions can feel enormous. A menu, a coat, a repair, a gift can trigger history. You stare at the cheaper option too long, not because taste does not matter, because tasty still outranks pleasure. Or you choose the nicer option fast, almost rebelliously. For a second, it feels freeing. Then judgment arrives. What looks like indecision is often inner conflict. One part wants ease. Another part still equates ease with risk. That second part is older than you think. It formed when your world was smaller and dependence was total. Back then, you could not choose the climate. You could only adapt to it. Children become whatever feels safest. Some became hyper-vigilant savers. Some became peacekeepers who never asked. Some became secret spenders chasing relief without witnesses. Different behaviors, same underlying question. Will money bring connection or disconnection, safety or shame, relief or regret? You might notice it around other people. Splitting a bill can feel weirdly personal. So can being treated. Because money is never only money in relationships. It can symbolize fairness, power, debt, love, and invisible obligations. If childhood taught you love required repayment, generosity may feel suspicious. If it taught lack, abundance may feel temporary. That temporary feeling matters. Some people cannot relax during good seasons. They brace for loss while things are okay. They save but never feel settled. They earn but never feel secure. Calm keeps getting postponed to a future number. That is often not greed. It is a body trained to expect the floor to move. And a moving floor changes things. You learn to grip, monitor, prepare, and predict. Rest starts to feel irresponsible. Here is the cost of that vigilance. It can protect you materially, yet emotionally it keeps scarcity alive. So the lesson survives when circumstances change. The bank account grows older, the nervous system stays younger, and that younger part is not stupid. It is loyal. It is trying to prevent pain it remembers. Pause here for a moment. What money feeling comes first? Guilt, panic, numbness, or pressure to be perfect? If a memory came up, notice it. You do not need to analyze it. Just let it count. And if you want, share that pattern below. Someone reading your words may recognize their own without shame. Sometimes one honest comment helps more than advice. It reminds people they are not uniquely messy or weak. Beneath these patterns usually sits one deeper fear. That fear is rarely about numbers alone. Very often, it is fear of what money means about you. Careless, needy, selfish, unsafe, hard to love. When those labels live beneath everything, abundance cannot soothe you for long. It never reaches the wound. Because the wound is about belonging, not arithmetic. It asks, if I choose myself, will I lose love? That question can shape adulthood quietly. It can hide inside frugality, perfectionism, people-pleasing, and silent resentment. You may resent others for spending. You may judge yourself for wanting what they allow themselves without apology. Comparison hurts when money holds identity. Someone else's ease can feel like evidence that you missed a secret. But usually they did not find a secret. They received a different education. Their nervous system learned another language. Maybe they learned money could be discussed calmly. Maybe mistakes were annoying, not catastrophic. Maybe needing something stayed safe. If you did not learn that, this is not proof against you. It is context, and context matters. Here is the gentlest reframe. Your pattern is not a personality flaw. It is protective intelligence. Protective intelligence can become outdated. What once kept you connected may now keep you contracted. Both can be true. You can honor where it came from without letting it run you. Understanding is not betrayal. It is graduation. That may sound simple, but it lands deep. Many adults still protect childhood home emotionally, even after leaving it. They keep old rules alive inside themselves. Ask for less and never relax too much. Stay ready. Sometimes those rules were spoken. More often, they were absorbed sideways through mood, silence, sarcasm, or sacrifice. Sideways learning feels powerful because it seems like sense. You do not notice the lesson. You call it you. But you are bigger than the lesson. You are the one noticing it now. That noticing changes the whole pattern. Awareness does not erase discomfort. It does something quieter first. It separates yourself from your survival training. Then the store moment changes. Guilt may still speak, but now you hear its accent. You realize this voice is familiar. It sounds older than today. It belongs to a room I needed. Recognition is powerful because it softens shame. Shame says something is wrong with me. Understanding says something happened around me. And that difference matters more than most think. One story traps you in blame. The other returns choice slowly. Choice does not mean forcing calm. It means meeting the old reaction with less obedience. Maybe next time you freeze over a small purchase, pause. Then ask inwardly whose rule is speaking right now. Not to shame yourself for having a reaction. Remember the reaction has a history, and histories can loosen. Maybe next time you want comfort, you notice the urge kindly. Is this desire of relief, rebellion, or repair? That question changes the speed. It creates a little space around the impulse. Space is where choice grows. And when choice grows, money becomes less magical, less condemning, less capable of defining who you are. It can return to its job, a tool and a resource. Important, yes, but not a verdict. That shift usually happens quietly, not dramatically. One less apology and one less spiral. One more breath. Maybe you stop hiding purchases. Maybe you stop rehearsing explanations nobody asked for. Maybe your shoulders drop sooner. Maybe you still feel the old guilt but recognize it faster. Familiar does not have to mean true. Maybe you begin speaking to yourself differently around money. More companionship than courtroom. That tone changes a lot. Because harshness never taught safety the way people claim. It taught vigilance. And vigilance is not the same thing. Real shift begins when you stop treating money feelings as fact. Feelings are signals. They are not commands. That is a powerful thing to remember tonight, especially if you're listening while replaying something you bought or something you avoided buying then felt sad about. Deprivation can ache too. We rarely talk about that pain. Sometimes the sadness is not about the item. It is about how quickly you abandoned yourself for safety. That lands hard. Be gentle with yourself. You were shaped before you were conscious. That is not failure. It means your first money education was emotional, not verbal. And emotional lessons survive long after explanations arrive. The good news is simple and deep. What was learned in relationship can soften with yourself. So the gentle step is this. Notice the next money feeling without obeying or judging it. Name it softly, old guilt, old fear, old pressure. Sometimes naming a pattern begins loosening. If you have lived this pattern, tell me how it sounds inside. Your words may help someone. And if this kind of understanding helps you breathe, stay close, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. You were not born wrong about money. You learned a language around it, and languages can be relearned. So tonight, let understanding be enough. Not a perfect plan, just a softer grip and a truer story.